Welcome to the Mighty Emotions Podcast. I'm your host, Giselle. I'm a certified emotions coach, and I teach you how to respond better to your emotions so you can feel better in your life. My mission is to show you how to work with your emotions to become more emotionally resilient. Your emotions are not designed to overpower you, they're designed to empower you. On this podcast, I share what our emotions are, how to understand them and work with them, and the tools you need to reclaim your power and get unstuck from emotional pain so you can find fulfillment in your life again. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's get into the episode.
Hello, beautiful soul. Oh my goodness. It feels so good to be sitting down and recording a podcast episode right now. I cannot tell you how badly I have wanted to come and record an episode, but life has been absolutely lifing and a lot of stuff has been going on. And I'm not even recording this on video right now because it's more important that we just chat than it is that you see me on video right now. You know what I mean? And I did set out at the beginning of this year to record podcasts on video for you guys, and it will be coming later in the year. But so much is happening as usual, and that's why I'm learning so much and what I want to actually speak to you guys about today because I've been having so many conversations with people, whether it's friends, whether it's my husband, and they're all saying a version of the same thing. Like, yes, we'll do this when life calms down. Yeah, I want to do this, but things are just really crazy right now. And maybe you feel like that too. Maybe you feel like what is happening right now? There's just so many things to do, so many responsibilities, so many obligations, so many commitments. And you're just trying to like do all the things. And we've all seen the memes, of the adulting memes about I'm just trying to be an adult and get 8 hours of sleep and drink all these water and like work out and eat healthy and take my supplements. And also, and if you're a mom like me, then you're going to add in, my kids, et cetera, et cetera. It's just the list goes on and on and on. And what the last 6 weeks in particular have taught me is that life just doesn't calm down. It doesn't. In January, I'm like, oh, in February. In February, oh, in March. Oh, in March, oh, in April. And on and on and on we go because things keep popping up. Life keeps happening. We commit to things maybe a month in advance, and then the month comes and we have already doubled our commitments for the month. And that is not a problem. And I want to talk to you about why it's not life that needs to calm down. It's that we need to realign. Life doesn't need to calm down. We don't want life to calm down. We want to enjoy a full, vibrant, vivacious life, an exciting life, a life where we are thriving. And thriving doesn't mean that we're busy for the sake of being busy, but thriving means that we are having, we have connection in our life, we have meaning in our life, we have freedom and fun in our life, and we have safety and sustenance in our life. So let's talk about that for a second. Because if you've listened to my episodes on our core needs, which I will leave linked down below for you, our core needs are safety, freedom, meaning, and connection. And what does that look like in our life, right? So, safety and sustenance, it means that we have good jobs, that we make enough money to live comfortably, that we live in a good place, that we're eating well and taking care of our health, right? That's what safety and sustenance means. That we're in environments where we are safe and secure. We have security, we have certainty, we have a level of routine. It doesn't mean our entire life is super routine, but that's part of safety, right? Predictability, so if that is something that we need in our lives, then having these recurring habits and these recurring plans, whether it's going to the gym these days each week or meeting our friends once a month each week, like having these kind of set schedules, it's important. And then on the other side of it, we need a level of freedom. We need a level of leisure and play and pleasure. And I can tell you personally, and if you're listening to this, you likely aren't having enough p- pleasure, enough leisure, enough fun, right? Especially if you're feeling overwhelmed by life. Because we tend to put that on the back burner when there are other things. But that is one of our core needs. And emotionally, it drags us down when that need isn't getting met. Likewise, if our life is just controlled by everything outside of us or people outside of us, and we feel like we have no agency and we're not making choices based on what we really want to be doing, that's also a core need that's going to crop up at some point and it's going to be hard for us to navigate. So, realizing that those are just two categories of needs and the way that it looks like in our life. Like, start to imagine what in your life is that structure, what in your life is that safety and sustenance, what in your life is that freedom and that play. And then we have connection needs, which means we need time to connect with ourselves. And we need connection with other people, which means making plans to see other people, calling people, texting people, connecting with people on social media. We can say social media is fake connection, but I only talk to people I know on social media, and I know you guys, right? And so to me, that's still a level of connection, right? When you guys are telling me about what you're struggling with and you're asking for my opinion and advice, and I'm able to support you and be there for you, whether it's in voice notes, whether I set up a call with you and we have a free clarity session, whatever it is, right? Or I'm talking to my friends and I'm seeing the fun things that they're doing and I'm sending them fun things that we could be doing in the city. And all of that is part of connection, right? But also some kind of spiritual connection, right? And that kind of slides into meaning as well, which is that connection to something greater than us, feeling like life has a purpose, not that we have a purpose. And I want to break that down for a quick second. It's not always knowing my purpose, but it's more so about knowing that there is a purpose to life. Life has a purpose, that it's worth living, that it's worth striving towards something, like knowing what is worth it to us is important. And we're going to dive into that in this episode, right? But just put a pin in that for a second. Meaning, having that meaning and knowing what's worth it to us, what fulfills us, where can we offer our service, where can we support other people. That is a big part of giving us meaning. I just came back with my husband from visiting one of my favorite small businesses here where I live. And I go pretty much once a month. And I've gotten to really know the owners there. And I love supporting them. Like, I make sure that when I go, I'm like, let me buy all the things and support this small business because I know how much work and effort and love goes into that and care. And there's a level of reciprocity, right? And it's such a moment to connect and chat with them and catch up. And it's beautiful. So honoring these core needs that we have requires a full life. Now, that doesn't mean burning out. That doesn't mean never resting. That doesn't mean overcommitting or overscheduling. What that means is that we are really intentional and clear about that need for meaning, that need for fulfillment, that knowing what matters to us, knowing what's worth the effort, what's worth the energy. There's a lot of things that we have to do in our life that we may not really want to do, but we know that in the long run, even if it sucks in the moment, it's worth it. So for some people, getting in shape, whether that looks like running, walking, hiking, whatever it is, being active, maybe they've been really sick and they are trying to take better care of themselves. Yeah, it's going to kind of suck to go out in the cold, but it's worth it because you know how much your health matters to you. You know how much that's worth it. Yeah, I'm a mom and it requires a lot of energy and effort to be patient and to use my tools and to sometimes the frustration to overcome that and to sit with that and work through that. Doing the inner work, that's effort, but it's worth it. So I do it. And I think a lot of times we fill our calendar with things based on other people's expectations or things that, we think we should do and not on things that are truly aligned with that need for meaning. So we end up stretching ourselves, doing a lot of things that we genuinely don't want to do because we don't believe that it's worth it. And that leads to a lot of resentment, which is a feeling of our expectations not being met, right? And so when we have that resentment, it starts to drain us emotionally. And we start to procrastinate and we start to avoid doing things because it's just not aligned. And you cannot make something feel aligned for you. Okay. If something is not aligned with where you are now, it doesn't mean it'll never be for you, but you've got to be really honest with yourself that in the moment, this is more important to me than this, right? And you got to be really, really clear, okay? Really, really clear about what matters at the end of the day. What means the most to you. So, personal example. I have not recorded a podcast episode in ages. I would say like in 6 weeks. This is my first podcast episode in 6 weeks. And it's not perfect and it's messy. And I don't have the right setup and I'm not filming on camera and all of these things, all of these things. And those aren't the reasons why I haven't recorded. I've had family priorities and I've been traveling, and I could have recorded it while I was traveling, but I really needed that to rest and to be with my family and to handle some other things. And so that was what mattered to me. And I didn't force myself to fill the day with more just because it's expected, or what are people going to think, or whatever the case may be. My people are my people and my people will understand, right? I know you listeners, you understand that I'm a human and I advocate for being gentle with ourselves and I advocate for honoring your humanity. And part of that means slowing down sometimes, stepping back sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Because I'm only one person. And at the same time, there's been a lot of inner work that I've been doing, and I'm going to be talking about in future episodes, that just requires space and time and quiet and all of that, which is kind of limited when you have a young kid, right? And a busy life. But I can tell you one thing, all the areas of my life that needed all those categories of needs, I was focusing on that. I was filling my time with things that made me more connected to myself, more connected to others, things that gave me a sense of meaning and service, things that were fun and pleasant and playful and leisurely, things that are providing security and safety in my life. I was focusing on all those things. And so as a result, I was doing well. There were a lot of things that are deprioritized, but I was showing up for my clients. I was still doing the things that I needed to do. I wasn't doing all 100 of the things. I was doing the things that were most aligned. And that is really what you need to get at. You need to get at what is aligned for you, what is really in alignment for you. And I was talking to someone about this, and they were saying, well, how do I know how to prioritize things? How do I know what's in alignment for me? And we always know because it is based on our values. It comes back to our values. It comes back to that meaning. It comes back to what is worth it. What is really, really important. So, for example, if you're in a corporate job and you know that you want to have your own business and be an entrepreneur and be a business person, then doing your everyday tasks, yeah, they might be really difficult to do. You might feel some resentment toward your job or anything like that. But if you understood that your job is there to fund your life so that you could build this other thing and it's not going to be forever and it's just a stepping stone, then maybe pouring yourself into your work is more worth it. If you understood that the job that you have is giving you skills that is going to help you advance to the next level of your life, then it's going to feel more worth it and it's going to be easier to do those tasks. It doesn't mean that it's always going to be fun, but it's going to be more manageable for you. And we have to look at, even within our circumstances, what matters to us, what is important, what is worth it. What do we value? Do you value family? Do you value relationships with your friends, certain kinds of relationships? Do you value your health? Do you value, like, what is it that you value? What are your values? And there's so many lists online that you can find. Just Google, values. And there's a list that I usually give my clients as well. I'll put it into the members portal and link it below so that you could check it out as well if you're in the members portal. It's free, by the way. You can join and you just get the occasional newsletter from me, and an opportunity to book sessions with me before anyone else. So, you know, feel free to join. The link is below, and I'll put in that values list that I give my clients in our sessions, because It's just something to look at and kind of give you a starting point, but for you to say, what do I value on this list? And prioritize those values and understand that sometimes we're going through things that require that we shuffle that around. But if you're feeling really overwhelmed, it's probably because you're not clear and organized. And the organization comes from prioritizing things by order of importance, right? So there might be things that you genuinely don't have time for, but if connection and friendship is something that you value, you need to look at what are you prioritizing above that right now? And is that aligned? Does that feel right in this moment? There have been times when I've had to really prioritize my friendships and times when I've really had to prioritize alone time, right? And times when I've had to mix it up a little bit, right? And vice versa. So there are times when it's really about family, and then there's times when it's just about me and my husband as a unit, as a couple. And you're never going to get it to a 50-50 balance. That's not how balance work. It's not about it being perfectly equal, but it's about giving it the weight that it needs to have in this moment. So whether that's 60-40 or a combination of percentages to get you to 100, it's going to shift all the time. Life is going to require that it shifts all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if your life is feeling like chaos, it's feeling overwhelming, it's feeling out of alignment, it's okay to drop some things. It's okay to say, you know what, this was a priority 3 months ago. And as a result, I haven't really prioritized this. And right now, I'm feeling really called to prioritize this instead. So I'm going to shift where I'm putting my energy. Because we do have a certain amount of energy that we can use every day, right? So you have to honor that, honor your body. Our body is really slow. It needs us to go slow sometimes so that it can recharge, right? And if we're never doing anything to fill our own cups, it's going to be really hard for us to keep going and to live a really vibrant life. We really want to understand that living a full life is a good thing and it should feel really good. But the only way it's going to feel good is if our priorities are in order and if we know that we're focused on what matters to us in the moment and we allow that to change. It's not going to be based on anyone else's rules, even our own rules. It's going to be based on what matters to us. So, as much as I love being a mother and being a family person and having my family, and that's important to me, if I go 6 months without seeing my friends, that's going to be detrimental, right? And vice versa. If I'm always spending time with my friends and never seeing my family, that's also going to be detrimental. So, it's about allowing your values, allowing your priorities to shift and change, checking in with your values and what matters to you. If you're stalling on something, if you're procrastinating on something, maybe there's something that you value more than that thing that you're doing, right? Maybe you sit down to work and there's so much resistance. Maybe it's like, you know what I'd rather be doing right now? Working out, going for a walk, calling a friend, and doing that and coming back to the work later. You're allowed to create your life and to curate your life based on what matters to you. Yes, there are frameworks and foundations and limits and boundaries. You have to work and you have to do these things. However, you have agency. You're allowed to shuffle things around. You're allowed to ask for what you need, right? By saying, okay, which category of my need isn't getting met right now? And how can I start getting that met? So, with that, I love you for listening. I'm going to end the podcast here because I've been talking for a long time, but I hope you really understand to step back and say, okay, life isn't going to calm down, and I don't want it to calm down. I just want it to feel more aligned. I want to feel like motivated. I want to feel energized by all the things that I'm doing instead of depleted and drained and scattered. And the way to get energized is to organize and prioritize based on what matters to you and be really honest with yourself And if any guilt comes up about responsibility or things you need to do, really ask yourself, is this my responsibility? And is it okay for me to prioritize something else that I've been neglecting for the moment? And see where it leads you. It has never led me astray. Your intuition is your best friend. And so, by getting in touch with your emotions and doing this work and getting clear on your values and prioritizing your needs, you just strengthen that intuition. You strengthen your own power. And then life starts to get good. It starts to feel good. So don't wait for life to calm down. Don't wait for life to slow down. Just always be checking in to see where you need something that you're not getting and how you can shift things around to get that. Thank you for listening. This is the Mighty Emotions Podcast, and I will see you in another episode. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. It would mean so much if you could subscribe, leave a review, share with your friends and family, and let me know what you think by going to my Instagram at mighty_emotions and connecting with me and letting me know what you loved about today's episode. It really means a lot that you support this podcast, and I love coming to you each week with a new episode. So be sure to subscribe, let me know what you think, and take care of yourself.